ribeye. I'm stuffed.
Oof, I'm jealous. I'm jealous. I'm overzealous. Okay.
Engram's playing, right? Evan Engram, he's playing?
Yep, he is playing.
Dude, thank God Philadelphia lost.
I know. All right.
All righty. Are we live? I think we're live.
Yeah,
Go to the dang
live.
out.
We got 3 people in the stream. Get things started for this pregame show in just a minute, my friends. Just a quick minute.
Shout out to Cheeseburger. Airborne Cheeseburgers here. Yo.
As always.
Football talk. Shout out to you. This is going to be a long game. Probably. We'll see, though. You never know.
It's going to be a long game.
Hey, man. We thought that against the Seahawks. We ended up winning.
Yeah, but this just feels different. The Seahawks also just, they're kind of on a cold streak. They play down to opponents is what I've realized. The Browns their offense is capable of just exploding.
I think the Browns are pretty inconsistent.
They are inconsistent. Their defense is terrible. The problem is we just don't have the offense to match up with with their offense because of how good they are just at putting up points. They just put up 42 points against Baltimore, and they don't have a terrible defense by any means.
That's true. I think it's going to be another test for our defense, which I think is an excellent defense. So hopefully we can put together another excellent performance on that side of the ball. That's the hope.
Yeah, without James Bradbury though, it really things happen with the Giants. And it really just happens all at the same time, right? It always feels that way. It always just a culmination. We get a little bit of momentum. We're making some progress, and then bam, it just blows up in our face. Why does it always feel like that happens? I guess that's just being a sports fan or a New York sports fan. Think about the Jets, man. The Jets just eternally doomed themselves. They won a game at 0-13, and now they're going to lose out on Trevor Lawrence, right?
Yep.
That's not even close. The people say all the time, we beat Washington, and we lost out on Chase Young. That's a big deal, yes, but we're talking you just lost out on Trevor Lawrence potentially. That's terrible. Even when they win, they still lose. The Jets. That's like the definition of being the younger brother, right?
That's the Jets for you, man. Poverty franchise.
Poverty franchise.
Will they ever be good, though? That's the question. Chat, feel free to chime in. Will the Jets ever be good? I don't know.
Jets ever be good?
I don't know.
I have a lot of Jets fans, and I make fun of them all the time, and they can never say anything back because when they were alive, the best they've ever been, they had Mark Sanchez.
With
they
Sanchez,
were never winning. They were never winning
decent though.
Mark Sanchez. It was the running game. It was Sean Green.
Well, yeah, when they made it there, their defense was really good back then. Mark Sanchez was good enough to get them that far. Then they went up against Peyton Manning. And it's like, well, we're not going to be Peyton Manning in the conference championship game as the Jets. They did, but I don't know. Luck runs out, I guess, for the Jets at least. I don't know.
Was there ever luck with the Jets? It was always going to be doom and gloom.
Airborne Cheeseburger says he thinks this is going to be a long day. If we don't win, it's over. We aren't beating Baltimore. Yeah, I don't know. It sounds about right. I don't know. Baltimore's pretty good. Yeah, you're right. I don't know. I think that of these two games, the Cleveland Browns are definitely the more winnable. Browns have been pretty inconsistent this season, but they do have a pretty great offense, that's capable of putting up 30, 40 points. They've put up 30 points in 7 games. The Giants have done that once this season. That's kind of pathetic.
Yeah.
Giants did that once in a loss to Dallas. Cleveland has 3 games with 40 or more points. So if we win, it's going to take a good offensive performance. But without Daniel Jones, I don't see that happening. So I don't know. I'm a little pessimistic, but I'll be a little optimistic and just say Cleveland's been a little inconsistent. So you never know.
You never know. You really do never know. The problem is this week I've had a really hard time, and I'm always optimistic. I try my best to be. This week I've had a really hard time finding the passion and the excitement for this game because, when you're down DJ and then you're down Bradbury, I felt okay with Bradbury but now, like, I honestly think losing Bradbury might have been a bigger loss than Daniel Jones because Daniel Jones was always never going to be able to run. He was never going to be able to run if he played in this game. Bradbury is the guy that holds that defense together like glue. He's the guy that takes away a side of the field, takes away a wide receiver, whatnot. Now you're in a really bad spot because you not only do not have Bradbury, you also don't have Darnay Holmes. And Darnay Holmes is the guy who's been making significant strides the past couple of weeks. And Jarvis Landry is a good slot receiver. He's a very talented slot receiver. And now you don't have your top slot guy to man up against Jarvis Landry.
We got McKinney.
That's a big problem. You have McKinney, yes, but he's not a pure corner. And now you have Julian Love obviously on the outside now, who's going to be.
McKinney's going to lock that fool up, bro.
If he locks him up, I will be so happy because that's what we wanted McKinney to do. That's what we want him to come in and make impact, performances like that, shutting down good receivers and playing, quality safety in the NFL. But I'm scared, man. This is going to be a really tough game. The only way I see us winning this game is if we control the clock, completely control the clock. We need to run the football. We need to be picking up yards on the ground. We really need to be picking up yards because I don't trust Colt McCoy for 2 seconds winning this game for us. And people keep saying Colt McCoy, when he was in Texas, he did this and this and that. I'm like, that was like 7 years ago. This is not the Colt McCoy we saw in Texas 7 years ago. You know what I mean? Like, this is the Colt McCoy of 2020 who hasn't played a meaningful game since 2014. So we have to walk into this. Yes, the Giants won when they were playing Seattle. Yes, they won when they played Seattle, but he only had 105 passing yards and a touchdown.
If you can replicate that game plan and just run the ball efficiently and run for nearly 200 yards as a team, if you do that again, then who says you can't win? There's always a chance. I don't want to just completely discount the Giants' efforts here and just say that there's no chance because that's disrespectful to Patrick Graham because we saw how he almost single-handedly beat the Seahawks. He could single-handedly beat the Browns. I could see it happen. I don't think it's likely. I don't think our offense has enough to hold up, but, maybe we can just pound the ball and we can lock them up defensively and we can try and get a solid W.
But yeah, that's the ideal thing. Here's what I would love. The Giants are going to desperately need to get some chunk plays, right? The turnovers are going to be huge, like Michael DeRosa just mentioned. We need turnovers that turn into points. That's the huge one. There's two things I always harp on every week. Time of possession, need to win that. If you lose time of possession, it means for the most part that your defense is on the field a lot more, and that's what happened last week, and we got destroyed because of it. We need to get turnovers. How is that going to happen? That's a great question. That's a question. How do you force turnovers? You have to confuse Baker Mayfield. You have to get in his throwing lane. You have to tip balls. Get your hands up. These are all things Patrick Graham's going to dial up a very, very interesting scheme, I think, today to try and produce as much pressure on Baker Mayfield as possible and then force him to make bad plays. That's the goal here. Without Bradbury, it becomes really difficult because usually they'd be able to take away an option, right? So like they could take away their best receiver and then force Baker Mayfield to throw to guys that probably have less separation because they are number 2, number 3, number 4 wide receivers. That's not the case this week. Without Bradbury, it's going to be really tough. The pressure up front, like Michael just mentioned, is a big one. Those interior defenders, if those guys don't produce a pass rush, the Giants will struggle. You know what I mean? Like last week we saw it. They did not produce a pass rush. And we saw, Kyler Murray standing in the pocket, throwing the ball downfield. We really, really, really need, we really need that interior pass rush. Leonard Williams needs to show up today. Dexter Lawrence needs to show up today. Dalvin Tomlinson, BJ Hill, the outside linebackers. We just to update everyone, if you missed this, outside linebackers coach Brett Bielema just took a job as the head coach for Illinois. So he's gone, right? The Giants no longer have their outside linebacker coach who's been doing really well with that unit.
Did you see they brought in Jesse Armstead from the front office today to fill in as outside linebackers coach? I thought that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
That's what I read.
From him? No idea.
Well, he's one of the best outside linebackers the Giants have had in recent memory, so should expect him to at least bring some good energy, I would think,
Yeah, no, I'll take the energy. Obviously, he knows what he's talking about, but obviously, like the scheme and the schematics behind it are a little different. When you're actually coaching it, you have to fit the mold that Patrick Graham wants these guys to do. I imagine that Jesse Armstead is as qualified as anybody. So that's a positive thing. And Michael, I'll read out your 3 keys for the game. I'll show it here. 3 keys to the game: utilize our running backs' individual strengths, win the turnover battle, and the D-line has to show up with Graham dialing up pressures. Now, Anthony, how do you think they're going to dial up pressures here? The occasional cornerback blitz, you always see that, when it comes to Patrick Graham. But do you think these outside linebackers get it done? The interior guys, they're blitzing with Jabril Peppers, McKinney maybe. How do you see this happening?
I think the pressure is going to have to come from the interior today. I tried to explain this, earlier in the week on our podcast. We were saying Baker Mayfield's strength is rolling out of the pocket and making throws on the run. So the problem is you don't want to give him the edge. You don't want to let him get out of the pocket, start throwing on the run. So what you have to do is contain on the edges. So have just Carter Coughlin stand on the edge and contain, or have someone else on the opposite side, Jabal Sheard, stand on the edge and contain. And then it's just up to those 3 guys on the interior to get home. So you got to hope that Leonard Williams or Dexter Lawrence or Dalvin Tomlinson get home and get some pressure. And I think that's also going to play in with a lot of stunts. Like someone mentioned, Michael just mentioned, I think a lot of stunts up the middle. Maybe line up Leonard Williams at the 5 tech, which is on the edge, and then have him stunt and twist inward and rush it through the interior, and then have Carter Coughlin contain the edge. I think that's really the key there, because you don't want Baker Mayfield to break the contain. You just want to keep him in the pocket and get some pressure up the interior. You have to remember he's shorter. He's like 6 feet tall. So you want as many people as close to his face and right in his face as possible. So I think that's really going to be the Giants' game plan. You want to seal the edge, like Philip just mentioned, and get the pressure up the middle through the interior. I think if Leonard Williams has a big game, I think we have a really solid chance of holding them down on defense and, maybe even getting a win. I think that's really the key, is just interior pressure. I could see a lot of Blake Martinez rushes up the middle too. Some blitzes from the inside linebackers.
Oh, you think so? Blake Martinez rushes?
Yeah, he's a good pass rusher. I think he's a solid pass rusher from the linebacker position. So I could see it happening.
I would like it. And what's up, Philip? Nice to see you here, my friend. And I love how the Giants media, they'll post like look at Colt McCoy, starting quarterback, and I'm like, are we really trying to hype him up right now?
Are we really trying?
We gotta hype him. We gotta get behind him. We gotta get behind him. I guess it's tough, Okay, so this is an interesting conversation I wanted to have with you guys too. Do you guys think that Daniel Jones is considered injury prone yet?
Yes.
Injury last year, 2 injuries this year, right? So he has the hamstring injury and picked up an ankle sprain last week. Would you consider DJ injury prone? And how valuable do you think it is to have a really good backup quarterback? And because DJ is looking seemingly injury prone through 2 years, could you justify, looking at other quarterbacks in the draft? Because if they don't make the playoffs, this is a serious conversation we have to have. Because with injury prone quarterbacks, and we had 13, 16, some monstrous amount of years, never having to worry about an injury to our quarterback, Eli Manning. He would show up every week, bumps and bruises, no matter what. Now we're seeing with DJ that is not the case. That age has come to an end. The quarterbacks, never getting injured, coming into an end now. So what do you guys see happening here? Do the Giants, it's just tough, man. I'm trying to figure out how the Giants move on with DJ if he keeps getting injured like this. And, when half his game is reliant on being a running quarterback, running is always going to increase your probability of getting injured. And what's going on, man? Authentic. Hopefully we get the dub.
I think part of the problem is that Daniel Jones actually was injured a little bit in college as well, and it's continuing to persist in the NFL. That's the problem. He had the broken collarbone. He twisted his ankle last year. He twisted his ankle again this year. He pulled his hamstring this year. So I don't know. It does make me question, can his body sustain a full 16-game season? Because so far he hasn't proved that it can. But I don't think that's necessarily going to make me want to move on from him right now. I still do see a lot that I like in Daniel Jones. I'd like to see him stay healthy through 16 games. It hasn't happened yet, but that doesn't mean it won't. But I do think it means that the Giants need to be more careful in the offseason. They do need to invest at least somewhat into the backup quarterback position. No, Philip, I know he is unreliable and injury prone, but I'm not saying that we need to move on from him because of it just yet, because we can give him another year to really, try and stay healthy. I think I don't want to give up on a quarterback after 2 years if I don't have to. He's shown some flashes, and I don't think that we're going to be in position to draft a top tier quarterback. So I'd rather just see what he could do next year. But I am starting to get concerned that he is injury prone. He's had 3 injuries since he entered the league. He had the collarbone injury in college. Like, he's been injured 4 or 5 times. I think he had a concussion in college too. Don't hold me to that, but I think that might be correct. So he's been injured quite a bit. So it is pretty concerning now, but I don't know. Greg says fumble prone is much worse than injury prone. I definitely think you can make that argument. The turnovers are quite a bit. Airborne Cheeseburger says he'd love to see Mariota or a veteran with an incentive-based deal. That's kind of what I was getting to. I want to see the Giants invest in the backup quarterback position. I don't think Colt McCoy is nearly good enough to really sustain a long season if he had to. You know, he can maybe go out there for one game and be a game manager, but he can't play a decent level. So I'd like to see the Giants. You know, Jacoby Brissett is a popular name that I've seen thrown out there. You know, obviously Marcus Mariota is a popular name if he's a free agent again. I'm not sure if he is. But yeah, I'd like to see the Giants get a veteran who has some upside and could play back there. And I think it's necessary if Daniel Jones just continues to get injured like this.
Yeah, well, that's the big thing. The injuries are becoming a problem. You need to have a number 2 quarterback, especially if the Giants expect to make a big jump next year, right? If they consider themselves a contending team next year, they add some big pieces. It's going to be tough, man. If DJ goes down again next year and suddenly you have Colt McCoy coming in, you need to have an elite offense in this NFL. You know, this day and age, this NFL, you need to have an elite offense. Otherwise, you're going to get left in the dust. This is what we're seeing. Watch Baltimore. I mean, watch the Chiefs. Watch the Saints. If you don't score points, you will lose games. That is an obvious, recipe. But we're seeing today, right? Just in today, the only reason I don't feel super optimistic about this game is because we don't have a good offense, right? If we had this defense and an average offense, I'd feel good. I'd feel better. And Mike, Zach Wilson, big fan of Zach Wilson. I really think the Giants should be looking at him because he could be a top 10 player. He might drop a little bit, but that kid can throw, man. That kid is a perfect guy. If you bring in a coordinator who runs West Coast, deep passing, moving the ball downfield, Zach Wilson's the guy you want, in my opinion. Obviously, you would take Trevor Lawrence and maybe Justin Fields ahead of him, but Zach Wilson he's smaller. He reminds me of Kyler Murray. He can run. He can throw on the move. The guy is super athletic. So, the guy we're going to be keeping an eye on and obviously looking at when the draft comes around. But our offense being trash is the main point here.
Yeah, here's the only problem, though, with a guy who you're mentioning, Zach Wilson's like Kyler Murray, right? You have to build the offense around the guy. That's right. Like that. And the Giants don't have an offense built for that. They have an offense built for a guy like Daniel Jones. So, if you do want to go ahead and draft a quarterback this offseason, you actually have to really revamp the whole offense. You have to definitely get a new offensive coordinator because there's no way that a Kyler Murray style quarterback is going to fit in this offense. You know what I mean? You would have to change things around. And I'm all for that. If that's what the Giants want to do, if they wanted to go with a drastic change and really just flip the script, I'm happy with that. I've mentioned this before. I like, the analytics brain is in me. I like, if you think you made a mistake, then quickly just blow it up and don't continue to build around the mistake, right? So if they think they made a mistake, then yeah, I want them to draft a new quarterback. But if they think that they can get some more out of Daniel Jones, I'll give them another year before I, take out the pitchforks and start the torches and start, chanting towards MetLife and trying to get rid of Daniel Jones. Because like I've said, he's done some good things. He's done a lot of bad things. He hasn't stayed healthy. That's definitely one of the worst things, but hopefully he can flip the script. And, we still got 2 more games on the schedule after this. So if he comes back healthy, he plays really well. He leads us into the playoffs. We're all going to be, having a totally different outlook on this. So you just got to take it one week at a time.
Look, I'm not ready to write off DJ just yet, but the really tough part is the injury, right? These injuries right now make it really hard for us to evaluate him, as the season finishes off. And now we don't have the second, half of the season. There's a quarter of the year now that we just don't have as a sample size to look at DJ and say, can we trust him? And like you said, Anthony, this offense is trying so hard to be built around DJ. The problem is when you put a guy like Colt McCoy and if you put another guy in there, it doesn't work the same way. They're really trying to include these RPOs, these running plays, these zone read options, and all this stuff. It's really bad. It's really bad when you just don't have the wide receivers to create separation. You have a play caller who might be playing poor, just calling bad plays. They're not throwing the ball down the field enough, and they don't have a downfield offense. I would rather take shots downfield and give up a couple more interceptions, than go 3 and out or pick up first downs and punt. You know what I mean? I'd rather take shots downfield. And especially with all the man coverage that we get across the board, because our receivers literally can't get open, it's really tough. And thank you, Authentic, for the kind words. Make sure to hit the like button. Really appreciate it. As always, we're here for you guys and trying to make this an enjoyable experience. If you have any, topics for us you want to discuss, or, anything you guys want, any feedback, happy to include your opinions and make things better for you.
Yeah, Big Nuts says if we get a wide receiver 1 and DJ still sucks, no more excuses next year. Absolutely. I mean, he's already running short on excuses. He's running out of them. Like going into year 3, that's really it. If he doesn't break out in his 3rd season, then I'm done with it. I don't need to continue to see him progress into year, 4, 5, and 6. If he's not there at year 3, then I'm ready to move on. Absolutely. We saw Josh Allen. He turned it around drastically, and he looks like an MVP candidate in his 3rd season. So I do want to give Daniel Jones an extra year if we can. But, if we were to land a top 5 pick somehow this year and we had the opportunity to get a great quarterback, then I would be for that as well. I'm going to continue to say this. Whatever Joe Judge wants is what I want. I just fully believe in in Joe Judge and fully trust in him to make the right decision. So really whatever he wants to do, I'm all about it. If he wants to give Daniel Jones another year, let's do it. If he wants to draft a quarterback, let's do it. Whatever Joe Judge wants is what goes for me, the leader of the Joe Judge fan club.
That's exactly right. And Mike, you're spot on. Giants need to get up to speed with the 2020 NFL game. In the past, defense wins championships, but today you just got to outscore your opponent. The defenses are being more forgotten about, and offense is really being prioritized across the league with just so many. Look at the Chiefs, man. They have so many wide receivers, and they're all speed guys. All they do is run downfield in these crossing routes and just try to leave guys behind them. That's what they do. And then you have Travis Kelce, a big tight end who can block and make pass catches. They have to be more creative. They have to push the ball downfield. We got to stop with these little chunk play system. Look, running the ball is great, and I think that's the one thing I disagree with Joe Judge and Dave Gettleman at. Well, there's more things I disagree with Gettleman on, but when it comes to Judge and Gettleman, they both think that this team should be a run-first team. I love the run-first idea, but at the same time, I don't think it's the right move for modern-day football. I think you need to be prioritizing having a very good passing quarterback who can move, and then, getting guys to complement that. I don't think, especially when Saquon comes back, can you trust Saquon to be a run, the offense to be a run-first unit with Saquon, who isn't a north and south runner, mind you. He's an east-west runner. He runs parallel to the middle of the field. He's trying to bounce it to the outside. He does not like committing to running up the middle. I don't know if the Giants can move forward with a run first offense. I think they need to find a guy. If it's not DJ, they need to find somebody that can get it done in the passing game, and then they have to really utilize their playmakers. Evan Engram, I feel like, disappears. Right in Airborne Cheeseburger, you nailed it. I'm gonna show that he disappears, and he has to be more consistent. That's kind of the problem with Evan Engram. He's polarizing. On one side, he'll be making an incredible throw or incredible catch with one hand, and then the next play he'll drop it and it'll be a turnover. What do you do when your players aren't coming and being consistent like that? So Anthony, do you think that the key to this entire offense, like if you could rank things, and guys, I want you to answer this too. If you could rank the problems on the offense right now, how would you rank them?
Offensive scheme, the play calling, the offensive scheme in general, offensive line, and then probably quarterback. That's where I would go. I'd say the offensive scheme is the biggest problem. The offensive line is not really – it's progressed a ton, but it's still a problem, And then the quarterback position is there's either an injury or there's a turnover. There's just some sort of problem every week, When he's playing well, he's playing really well, and it's often it's awesome. But as Big Nuts just said, a good QB can make any offense good. And then underneath quarterback, after those three, I'd say wide receiver. The wide receivers don't get open enough. We've talked about that. They don't get enough separation. But I do feel like the bigger problem with the wide receivers not getting open is actually the scheme. So that's why I put that number one. So the scheme, the offensive line, then the quarterback, and then the wide receivers. That's how it goes for me.
Yep. And, that's kind of where I think I'd go the same route. I don't think the offensive line is as big as a problem because it's gotten so much better this year. I think last week was an anomaly based on what we saw in the previous couple games. But, I think the scheme is a major flaw in this offense right now. DJ obviously is not playing well. The injuries. He's had some very good games with others. He kind of disappears. The one thing I will say for DJ is that, his touchdown pass number is irrelevant because they've ran the ball in from inside the opponent's 5-yard line 6 times this year. and that was during their 4-game win streak. So keep that in mind when people make that argument. But at the same time, DJ, I don't think has the ability to be an elite quarterback. I think he could be a serviceable, good quarterback if he stays healthy, and he's very momentum based. We saw it this past week when he's not able to run. That's a huge con for him. Half his game is running. If you take that factor away, I don't think he's a good enough pure passer to win games for the Giants. If you have Saquon Barkley and taking some pressure away from your wide receivers, maybe you do. But do you think that, going into the offseason, do you think that we should be looking at a guy like Corey Davis? Because I saw him today, and he looked phenomenal. Healthy Corey Davis, I know, Anthony, you've been beating this drum too. Healthy Corey Davis is a potential number one wide receiver in the future. I don't think he is right now, but I think he's capable of being one.
I like Corey Davis a lot. I just, he was great today because he had a 75-yard touchdown reception, but he only had like 4 or 5 receptions on the game. My problem is when we talk about a wide receiver one, we need a guy who can get, 15 targets and catch 13 of them. We need someone who's high volume and consistent and reliable. And Corey Davis still, I don't even think is that. I think Kenny Golladay can be that. I think Allen Robinson definitely is that. I think even, Juju Smith-Schuster is one of those options, but I just don't like Juju Smith-Schuster. I don't like his TikToks. I don't like his attitude. I just can't stand that guy, so I don't want him to sign with the Giants, even though I think he could be that, high volume, get a few receptions or get a lot of receptions per game. But, that's not what I want in a wide receiver. I don't want the social media guy. So, I don't know. That's just me. But I do think that, I think it's interesting you mentioned Corey Davis, right? Because one thing that I see when I watch the Titans is Ryan Tannehill and the turnaround that he's had in his career. It took him a few years to really turn it around. But he reminds me a lot of Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones reminds me of him, right? Because early on in Tannehill's career, he had some injury problems. He was athletic, very athletic. I think he played linebacker or tight end or something in college or high school. Like, he's a very athletic guy. And he is a pocket passer who has the ability to move. He's very similar in playing style to Daniel Jones. He's just actually reached his full potential, and he's very good now. And when he is on, he is really on. But like, he took a 30-yard touchdown run today, or 20-something yard touchdown run, and it looked like something that Daniel Jones could do. He looked very athletic, but he doesn't necessarily run all the time. He's very much a read through the field and make the passes. So they're very similar to me. I think that if Daniel Jones can get the right coaching, maybe the Giants can try and pull somebody from that Tennessee Titans offensive staff in the offseason, get him over here, get him to coach Daniel Jones, and maybe that would be really, really beneficial for him and could really help him out. So yeah, I think if you're looking at ceiling and floors, I think his ceiling is like Ryan Tannehill, and I think that's a pretty high ceiling. I think Tannehill is very good. Just to touch on Daniel Jones one more time before we get back to these questions in the chat.
Yeah, and Josh, how's it going, my man? Appreciate the question. Garrett isn't playing calls today, as we know. He has COVID. Do you guys think the offense can get a jump tonight? So this is a good question. We've hit on this a couple times this week. When it comes to Garrett calling plays, the difference between him and Freddie Kitchens is going to be very clear. Obviously, you're going to see the same concepts, the same plays in the route concepts, the running plays. They're going to look very similar. It's how they're called is going to be the big difference. I think they're going to be running the ball a lot. I think we're going to see more running backs running routes today. I expect to see Dion Lewis a lot more. But mind you, I think we've used Dion Lewis pretty poorly this year. His main attribute is pass catching, and we've barely used him in that way. And DJ missed a couple reads last week that Dion Lewis, was wide open on. So that was one thing that we did see. I think that we're going to be seeing a lot more of Dion Lewis as a receiver. I think we're going to be seeing those running backs being a little bit more creative, but also keep in mind of this. This is kind of interesting because back in 2018, when Freddie Kitchens took over as the offensive coordinator in Week 8, Baker Mayfield was being sacked like crazy. I think he was sacked 19 times leading up to Week 8. He took over when Kitchens took over. Baker Mayfield, saw his stats like skyrocket. He was top 10 in almost every category for quarterbacks. And the reason behind this is not because he was launching balls downfield. He was taking very, very smart first reads. So expect to see very easy first reads for Colt McCoy today. They're going to try and give him high probability throws that he can complete on and move the chains inch by inch. And we're going to see a lot of quick throws, right? With DJ, when DJ was playing well the past couple of weeks, he was getting the ball out of his hands faster than he did the entire year. This is the entire thing with Freddie Kitchens. He wants to get the ball out quickly. Pray to God he does not do third down draw plays on 3rd and 7 was that play a couple of years ago, or was it last year? Just none of that nonsense. So we want to see quick throws, high probability catches, Get these guys open. The wide receivers need to get open. And I don't want to see any of these, like, everybody runs a stick route, okay? Two guys run to the flat, two guys run stick routes. Push the field, extend the field, stretch it. Get your guys like Darius Slayton downfield. Get Golden Tate sitting into zone coverage, sitting into a place. Have Sterling Shepard working out of the slot and the outside, mismatching with these Browns defenders. This is not a great Browns team, right? They're very inconsistent. And that's kind of, what I'm going into is, like, you could catch, this could be a trap game for them. They could come into this thinking they're going to win like Seattle did and somehow end up with a close game here, like, a touchdown, 2-possession game for the Giants. But it all comes down to not turning the ball over, right? Cannot turn the ball over. But Anthony, I'll let you answer a couple. I know Jason has one. How do the Giants beat the Browns? That's the question we all want to know. Hopefully Joe Judge knows more than we do. Joshua, but I'll let you answer Jason's first.
Well, I want to answer Phillips first. He said, who do you think has the biggest impact wide receiver wise? Evan Engram. I think he is our best playmaker on offense. I know he gets a lot of hate from this fan base, really, because he's so inconsistent. He's so polarizing. He has a lot of drop passes. But let's not forget, when Evan Engram is playing his best football, he can be pretty dominant at tight end. He can go for over 100 yards. He can, we saw that against the Bengals. He had 2 receptions of 40+ yards. I think he's very capable of doing that. It's just, is he going to be on his game or is he going to be off his game? But I think that, if he's on his game, he'll be the best receiver on the field. He'll have the biggest impact. How do the Giants beat the Browns? I think with a really good defense and a solid running game. That's to answer Jason's question. What do we expect from the offense tonight? Kind of what Alex was saying with, quick passes and everything. But one thing that I liked a lot about when Freddie Kitchens took over in 2018 as a play caller for the Browns, one thing that really helped Baker Mayfield is that they started to get really aggressive throwing downfield. So yeah, there was a lot of like quick reads and short underneath passes, but Baker Mayfield was really unlocked once he was allowed to get out of the pocket and just start bombing passes. And that's really what helped, it helped open up the offense, helped open up the running game for Nick Chubb and these other guys. So I think that we will see a little bit more aggression out of this offense tonight. And that's really what I'm excited about. Especially if Daniel Jones were playing, I think we would have seen a lot more aggression. Because I just think Freddie Kitchens is a more aggressive play caller than Daniel Jones. Than Jason Garrett. You distracted me with your Eli Manning bobblehead.
Sorry, he's cool. What's up?
He is pretty cool. But overall, the offense shouldn't change that much. It is Jason Garrett's playbook. It is Jason Garrett's script. So it should be pretty much the same, except I think there's going to be key moments in the second and third quarter or in fourth quarter where, wow, you got both of them. That's pretty cool.
What do you think looks more real? What do you think looks more realistic?
I think Eli looks a lot more realistic.
He kind of does. He looks like an old man. He looks like he'd be DJ's dad.
I mean, that's what we always
stance,
about, right?
Those stances, vastly different.
Vastly different.
Interesting.
Very realistic too. Yeah, I think the offense is going to be very similar. It's still Jason Garrett's playbook, and Freddie Kitchens is just calling plays out of it. I just think he's probably going to pick a few more of those shot plays that Jason Garrett leaves in the back of the playbook. So I think we'll see a little more aggression, but overall it should still be the same. And I think we're going to see a heavy dependence on running the football.
Mm-hmm. Nah, you're 100% right. That's going to be the thing. The Browns have one of the best running attacks in the NFL. If you can stop that, force Baker Mayfield to beat you with his arm, he misses throws. He overthrows balls. He can be a problem for Cleveland. He can beat their own offense. We have to make him beat us. Don't let Nick Chubb get the ground game going. Don't let Kareem Hunt get going. That's how you have to stop them.
I like Big Nuts' question right here. Over under 2 sacks for Myles Garrett.
I'm going to say 2 sacks. I'm going to say he's going to get 2 sacks.
I'm going to say under. I think he gets 1. I think he gets 1. I think Andrew Thomas is going to have a good bounce back game. Yeah, but I think it's going to be a good bounce back for Andrew Thomas. Joshua Ramos gives us a little update saying Jordan Rannon says that Julian Love is warming up at cornerback. That's what we expected. Yep. I wrote an article on that a couple of days ago. I'm actually really excited to see Julian Love play on the outside. We've been really kind of begging for that ever since he got into the league, so I'm excited for that.
Yep,
and Philip, I'll let you answer Matt Boyd's question as well.
Okay, Matt, you said if the Giants win the division with 6 wins, does that give the Giants brass a false sense of achievement, a sense of where they are organizationally? I don't think so. I think winning it probably does, but at the same time, making the playoffs is a huge step for any team, no matter what is going on. if you
True.
make the playoffs, not only does it really invigorates the players, but it also puts you in a position where you know that you can make the playoffs. Even if your division sucks. So the Giants made the playoffs at 9-7 back in the day, and they won the Super Bowl that way. So we're obviously a little bit worse. That was 6 wins here. But I think, it definitely would – you could go 50-50 on that. I think, it definitely could provide some false hope, but also because it ruins your draft spot too. But at the same time, like, you play to win. You don't play to lose. So I would like to make the playoffs, obviously. As for Julian Love, man, we haven't seen him play cornerback at all in his first 2 seasons. This is why, and I say this, I love Julian Love. Love him because he can play multiple positions. He's exactly what Joe Judge wants. He's exactly what the Patriots love in players. He can come in. He can play strong safety, free safety, slot corner, boundary corner. He can do it all, and he only takes up 1 roster spot. That's the type of player you want on your team as a depth piece, and he's been starting at free safety the past couple of weeks and been really, really good. So I love how he's going to go over to corner. He has the skill set to do it. He'll get it done, hopefully at a high level. Obviously, yes, Darnay Holmes is out. That is a huge loss for us again. Last week, we really missed him. This is going to be tough, man. We'll see what happens here with this game. But the Giants, it's an uphill battle. But I think if you catch the Browns sleeping, if you catch them off, you could keep this game close. All what I want is to go into the fourth quarter with this be a 2-possession game. As long as it's a 2-possession game going to the fourth quarter, we are in it. You know what I mean? If we're not winning, obviously.
2-possession game. I would like them to just keep a 1-possession game the whole time because that's when you're really in it. I think if it gets to 2 possessions, the problem is when it's 2 possessions, I don't know if this offense has enough to really make up some ground and actually pull back into the game, unfortunately. Does it matter? Aren't we going to do zone on 85% of the plays, Michael said? Probably not, dude. That's not Patrick Graham's MO. He really likes to run a lot of man coverage. I mean, there's a lot of holes in the secondary right now with all these injuries and, James Bradberry has COVID. But I still expect him to run a pretty similar game plan. They all know the defense. They know what the play calls are, so they should be prepared regardless. So hopefully, we see a lot of disguised coverages and aggression. Hopefully there is a good amount of man coverage because I think that's what this defense does best is man coverage and blitzing.
It's actually funny because Patrick Graham likes man coverage more than he does zone. Last year he used cover
which
1,
is an oddity.
Coverage. 50% of the time last year. 50% of the time he played man coverage. This year we're seeing a ton of zone, and I think the Giants and really it's actually cool because I think what the Giants defense did is they're basically saying what we are. We know that the offense in the NFL right now is where people are focusing. We know that they want to take shots downfield. We know that they want to get big chunks. That's what they want to do, So what I have to say about that is Patrick Graham looked at other teams and said, we want to bottle up their deep threats. We want to keep them from completing 50, 60-yard plays downfield. We want to keep everything in front of us. We're going to play zone coverage, a soft zone, allow them the middle of the field, and then the second they catch the ball, you rally to the ball. Or if you have fast safeties like Logan Ryan, McKinney, and Love, you can use those safeties in soft and shallow coverage and then just wait for those underneath routes to come through and then pop them. You can jump those routes or at least lay a nice hit on them and dislodge the ball. So I really like what Patrick Graham has done in identifying that offenses across NFL are taking deep shots. They're focusing on pushing the ball, way further than usual, and they've adjusted in a way that they can actually stop that. But like Mike said, I expect a ton of zone coverage. I expect them to try and keep Baker Mayfield throwing from 10, throwing to the sticks. Keep them from the sticks in because those big chunk plays, Baker Mayfield is very, very good on the run, very good in play action. It's going to be really hard to stop him in those ways. So you got to put almost immediate pressure. And the one big inactive they have this week is Teller, their right guard, who's playing at an all-pro level. This is actually a crazy stat. When Teller is activated, when he's active, the Cleveland Browns have the #1 running attack in the NFL. When he's inactive, they have the 29th. That's how good he is.
Not good for my fantasy team, which is starting Nick Chubb tonight.
Yep, but that's how good he is. That's how good Teller is at clearing pass on that strong side, that right side of the line. If you take him out of there and he's out, you could stop the run today. You can stop the run. The hardest part is stopping Kareem Hunt in the passing game. That's going to be Blake Martinez and those safeties, Xavier McKinney, those man coverage, lined up with Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb out of the backfield. That's my biggest concern. Can you stop Kareem Hunt out of the backfield? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the key. Michael said, could we do any 4 safety looks, or do we need to have one at CB on all plays? Well, it's kind of an interesting question because I think the Giants are just playing safeties all over the place today because we have so many injuries at cornerback. So technically, we will have 4 safeties on the field probably at all times, right? We'll have Peppers, Logan Ryan, McKinney, and Julian Love all on the field at the same time, except 2 of them, McKinney and Love, are going to be playing cornerback. So yeah, we'll have 4 safeties. But if you're saying cover 4 zone coverage deep, I definitely think we could see that a little more than usual, just because the Browns do have a tendency to run those double moves and try and get the ball downfield on those deep shots. So I think we could see a lot of 4 deep safeties occasionally.
Yep. We'll see some quarters maybe. But however, with 5 minutes left until the game starts, let's get our game predictions in.
Yep.
I'm really trying to be optimistic. Against Seattle, I was optimistic. Last week I was optimistic. This week, I can't. As a Giants fan, I can't say they're going to lose. Right? I can't say that. So I'm going to say the Giants are going to win this one, 21-20, by a field goal. They're going to win by a field goal.
Okay. I'm saying 21-10. Cleveland wins. Unfortunately, I'm just a little more pessimistic than you. But hey, last time I was pessimistic against Seattle, we clutched out a victory. So hopefully that's maybe that's the key. Philip Santana is picking the Giants 24-17. I sure hope so. I'm going to predict that Cleveland wins, but I certainly hope that I'm wrong about that. Airborne Cheeseburger doesn't even think this is going to be close. He doesn't think it's going to be a close game.
That's a hell of a score line right there, 45-14.
31
what they did last week.
When it rains, it pours.
That would be emotionally taxing. I wake up tomorrow with a hangover.
Vodka tonight.
I have a hangover tomorrow and not even drink anything.
Same joke. That's so funny.
Just alcoholics unite if they lose by 31 points.
Alcoholics unite. Yeah. It's not even anonymous at this point. We're all just Giants fans. No more anonymous. All right, Michael. Win. Seems like the whole chat's really picking Cleveland except Philip. Philip, we appreciate the positivity and optimism. We hope we hope you're right, dude. We really hope the Giants win. But yeah, I'm gonna go 21-10 Cleveland. Unfortunately,
right.
It's
21-20.
21-20. He said Giants get a 1-point victory. I think all the Giants wins have been like 1-2-point victories.
I know.
Except
Quote Michael Strahan.
Believe it, and it will happen. 17-14. That was 17-14.
17-14. Maybe it'll be 17-14. I mean, I'm going 17-14. 17-14. Super Bowl numbers.
I sure hope so. Jets won today, so anything is possible. Absolutely.
They beat the Rams too. God.
They beat the Rams. Actually, breaking news: Eli Manning just tweeted, "Game time, feeling good about tonight." If Eli Manning's feeling good, then I'm feeling good. Eli Manning is feeling good, so I think that we have a much better chance than anybody else actually is giving us.
The Oracle has spoken.
The Oracle has spoken. Michael, yep, you're right. We won. Eli said he's feeling good. We won. That's pretty much how it goes, right?
I wish it was that. way.
Right.
Eli wins for being a player.
Imagine Eli just has, a little magic wand. He goes, "We win."
Baker
Thanks, Eli.
Suddenly becomes Mark Sanchez.
Airborne Cheeseburger. Never mind. If Eli is feeling it, then so am I. 70-3 Giants.
70. We need Eli in that locker room. Drinks for tonight. I'm going with a boozy tea. I have one left.
I've never even heard of that.
Fire. I know. It's very, very.
I'll probably have a Rona.
Owl's Brew.
Okay.
That's what it's called.
Sounds interesting.
It's not bad. Or I'm going straight Tito's vodka. I might just go with that. Just a whole bottle.
Dude, that's
depends how bad it gets.
When we lost that Thursday night game against Philadelphia, I had a tough night that night. I'll just say that.
All right, my friends. Well, as always, let's go Giants. Thanks for tuning into the stream. If you have any feedback for us, anything, let us know. Happy to include more things. Let's really stay positive. I'll be live tweeting the game, posting videos, highlights throughout. Obviously, I'll have my post game article out immediately after. I'll have something for tomorrow. I'll be doing a podcast tomorrow and Tuesday. And then, obviously we have the holidays coming up. So Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, all the other holidays that, you might be celebrating. Hope you guys are having an awesome time with family and hopefully staying safe and healthy. And go Giants. We'll catch you on the next one.